What's happening, people? Welcome back to the podcast. As you know, this podcast is sponsored by my online coaching clients. I'm not prepared to get a sponsor because I'm not prepared to dim down the conversations, because that's why people are watching them. So that being said, I'm taking on new clients for January. If you want to be the type of person that becomes a sexy wee minx in the new year, you can apply via the link in the description or the show notes. You've one-on-one access to my WhatsApp, that's not for hitting on me. Then you've also got online check-ins, guidance on nutrition, calories, protein, so you don't need to worry about that. And then on top of that, something that most people that coach online don't do, I spend a lot of time doing form videos so I can teach you how to lift in the gym, so you're not anxious when you go there and you're not just following a program that someone's gave you. I actually teach you how to lift from scratch. So either apply via the link in the descriptions or just send me a DM on Instagram saying I want to become a sexy wee minx. Before I let you get into the show, like and subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching on Spotify, click the follow button so you get notified whenever there's a new podcast, as well as rating the podcast on Spotify. And if you're on Apple, just leave me a really nice review. That'd be class.
How nervous are you on a scale of 1 to 10?
9?
9.
Nah, not a 9 really. I'd go probably a 6 or a 7.
Did that happen just as soon as you walked in the coffee shop?
Yep. No, it didn't. It actually happened on the moped home. I was like, here we go, got a podcast. I feel like Gavin wants to delve deep into me now. I said, this is gonna be interesting.
Well, it's like what I was saying to you, like how I've had a few people on, like Michael, the second podcast me and Michael done, like the full conversation.
That was a good one.
The second one about the calorie deficit.
No. Oh,
Yeah.
it's the third one.
Yeah, because the third one we had to come up with a new strategy. Because the second one, like we just had a conversation. It was like what we thought people would maybe want to hear, or what I thought people wanted to hear. So like I asked him like what his three favorite meals were that he cooks. Like I tried to come at it as the like, let's help the audience sort of thing.
Let's delve into nutrition. Let's give people real value,
and then
about what they want to, what they eat and so on. And so forth.
And then we all ended up just having a conversation where we're both staring at each other like, I fucking hate every second of this. And he was just staring at me like,
calories are boring.
Food's boring.
Food, yeah, it is.
Unless it's a recipe, you can't talk about food. Like, no. And then a real recipe, like not a real recipe, a recipe on reels, can like bang, but talking about it, I'd rather like stab myself in the eye.
I'd agree. Like
calories, protein and stuff. But you were asking me, do I get nervous for podcasts?
Yeah, I want to know, do you get nervous every time or not?
I'm really, really glad that you actually said, can I go first? And because this one, I'm going to upload Brad's before this one.
Okay, cool.
But I'm glad that I'm going to get two hours out of the way before I have Brad, because I've been sitting there thinking, Jesus, like, if I get him on and there's some sound bites to go absolutely wild, and then they start looking through some of the stuff I've sent.
No, you'll be all right, mate. Yeah, you'll be all right.
I've just started going, because I'm also going to upload Sean's podcast, The Ginger Comedian, the week before, and some of the stuff me and him come out with.
Like, on the line.
Yeah.
Definitely getting cancelled.
It's on the line, like, and they're just going to look for all of that. I get nervous the last time I went to Belfast as well. Just, like, going in a new studio makes me nervous.
I guess you can get in a bit of a flow with me, and then you'll be already in a flow ready for Brad, and then you won't even think about it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But then I do agree, like, new environments always make you a bit nervous at the start. And that's probably do you know what? That's probably a big thing about podcasting. If you're traveling around doing it, like, new environment, new place to do it. But it kind of adds to it though, because when you're a bit nervous
as well, so I have to be like, is he nice? And she's very nice. Yes. I've already forgot. I'm so bad with names. What was your name again? VK. Yeah. VK. Right. Okay. I nearly fucked that as well.
It's the most Glasgow name he's ever heard of.
I will make you really nervous here because this is a big one. How have you found living with me?
Oh.
You actually are so nervous.
I'm not. I don't mind at all. Living with you is actually not that bad.
Thanks.
I actually don't mind it at all. You're very easygoing. Like, you're very easy to live with. You don't have particular standards that you're like, why is this not like this? Yeah, mate, I don't have a problem living with you. The only issue that I'd have living with you is you are the biggest, like, klutz ever. And
the biggest what?
Klutz. So
klutz. What's that?
What do we say when we got in here? What's the other word I'm trying to think of?
Don't know.
What?
I'd never heard of the word clut in my life.
Klutz. What's it where you just
Quirk?
do stupid things randomly out?
Oh, clumsy.
Clumsy, exactly. Clumsy, right?
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. All right, you are. And
I nearly fall off the moped every time I have to reverse.
Exactly right. And I'm not gonna make out like I am super prepared, but you are. You have to be the most unprepared. You've literally. I think I've bargained with you. One of my sun creams, one of my deodorants, one of my plugs. Like, if I wasn't with him, he would honestly, I don't know what he'd be doing.
I've got by this long. I've travelled Asia.
I agree, mate. But I kind of, to be fair, I think I could take a note out of your book because I'm so used to being constantly like, oh yeah, I need to make sure I get these things and stuff. It definitely comes from my mum because she's like OCD, super organised. And I try not to be like that too much, but I think sometimes, as we said at the start, when you come traveling, the best thing to do is not to be organised because then you actually get some of the best stories from the simple fact.
I just knocked my hand off.
Just knocking out. Yeah, you get some of the best stories from just actually not being prepared and having to go and get that stuff. So I kind of understand your point, but you are so clumsy, it fucking hurts. And then like, the thing is with you, you just get to a point and you're like, oh yeah, I don't have this. Or I need this. And I'm like, why the fuck haven't you thought that? Well, just didn't think of it. Okay, all right, see you. Let's go and get that then, Gav. But
do you know the worst part? Do you know the worst part since we've been here for me is when not when it actually happened, when we went to that fuel place with Hannah, the Irish girl that we've met.
Yeah.
And you were with, I was in front and you were behind with her, and we drove into the petrol place, and I just knew as soon as we got there, when I turned round, you were going to tell her about the last time we'd went there. And I turned round and you're sitting telling her, I was like, Aaron, leave that story out. Nobody needs to know.
The best story so far in Bali, because do you know what? So Gavin's pulled in front of me and to fill his engine up.
Hey. Can you give some background into how I was feeling?
Okay. I mean, come on. Right, so Gavin's first night here, he got about an hour's sleep. And we both obviously had night flights, barely slept. So severely jet lagged. He only got 1 hour sleep. He said he was hallucinating, but I think that's a load of absolute shit.
I was that jet lagged. I was hallucinating.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, all right. But anyway.
I was seeing double cars that were on the road.
Yeah, he probably shouldn't have been on the road at this point.
No, definitely not.
Anyhow, he got to the petrol station, and the funniest part is Gavin's only just passed his driving test. So the amount he's actually filled up a car is probably very limited for a 27-year-old. And I've seen him pull forward, right? I know he's in a mood, he's in a grumpy mood.
Oh,
he's
raging.
Hallucinating and all this shit. And I was like,
seeing dinosaurs.
He's fucking seeing anything. And he gets there. And he's filled it up himself, right? And to be honest, I don't know why the guy didn't fill it up yet. He's absolutely screwed you over because normally every petrol station they fill it up for you here, and he didn't for some reason. I think he just wanted to fuck you up. And basically, as he's literally putting his petrol in, I'm going, I bet they don't stop here, do they? And this thing is just flown out, gotten everywhere, and he's that tired. He hasn't even seen it. It's all over the floor. It's all over everywhere. All of the two people working there just pissing themselves. And I've never seen Gavin so like, oh, what's going on? I didn't even realise. I'm seriously fucked. But that had to be the best moment ever. And the worst thing was,
I was sitting watching the price.
I felt so, yeah, that was it.
There's a fountain coming out my head.
I felt so bad after though, because I literally was looking at you going, I wonder if they stop over here. And there was no stopping there, mate. And unfortunately, you had to pay for all the stuff on the floor as well, mate. So it's probably a good lesson learned. That's to be fair.
I was thinking about, have I been in a bad mood here? And that's the only but I haven't since then, really.
Nah, you're pretty. I've
told you to shut up a few times.
Yeah, but I know I need telling to shut up. And I actually quite appreciate that in our friendship. Yeah, but I am at the same time, and I'm like, I think we both probably rely on each other to probably not like be too, well, I think we can both rely on each other to be like, no mate, you're talking absolute shit there. Like, stop. Don't try and pull your social skills on me, mate. I was like, you're talking crap. I mean, you've told me to shut up a few times, especially in the gym. Aaron, stop telling me what to do. All right, Gav, no worries, mate. I'll I'll go over here and do my session.
Yeah, that one was like, I felt a bit bad after that.
I'll see you at the end.
You're just like, you were like, how much arms are you doing? And I was like, not much. And then you started like going off about how I should do arms. And
I did. The thing is, right, he was benching and he was telling me how bad his bench was previously to it, or how much he was struggling with it. And I was like, so all I was trying to do was be a nice mate and be like,
yeah, but see, when you've heard it 4 times.
I know, mate. I agree.
Do you know the worst part about that moped thing was when we were... well, bear in mind, so the fountain was that big that it came on my top and all that. I think that's the only reason I noticed is like some of the oil actually, or the fuel, whatever you call it.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that comment actually. You were there like, I heard it. It's on me. I could smell it. And it's in my hair.
I was that stressed out though because...
Like, Gav,
I was really stressed out because I still don't really know what all the different petrol is.
Yeah, well, we've got to fill... So there's... I don't know what it's called. Paramix... Paralite?
There's like 3 different options for petrol.
Right? That's right. All right.
I was like, what the fuck is all this?
Yeah, because the guys that we got on mopeds off basically want to just keep the engine or make it running for years.
He was like only blue, and I was like, I'm a Celtic fan. I'm going green.
That's a good point. But they probably do it. I've noticed barely anyone, by the way, fills their oil with Max. So I think they just do it to be like, yeah, the tourist can pay a little bit more fuel. Hopefully it means my bike's going to last me an extra 40,000 Ks. But it does make a lot of sense in terms of business view.
The worst part about all of that is you kind of called me a derogatory name, which I kind of deserved.
What?
I'll not repeat the word, but you called me something like that, and I was like, I'm going to lose the plot. And then I remember you were trying to talk to me coming out. Yeah, no, I'm not going to say it. You were trying to talk to me coming out, but you just called me a not very nice word. And then I was raging about it. I was like, did you just call me that? I was fuming. And I was like,
I can't even remember what
I was like, how's it all of this just happened? I was so flustered. And then I put my hand in my hair and I put all the oil in my hair. And I could just smell it all over me. And we were going for food in quite a posh restaurant. And I'm just sitting there like fucking my hair covered in oil and all that.
Funny.
Absolutely fuming.
It was, I was just sitting there. And it was more the fact that I knew how tired you were, but I couldn't stop laughing because I was just like, you'll be all right.
That's why I make sure you got up before me, and that's why I make sure I have enough sleep, because I get so, like, if you think I'm clumsy when I'm not sleep deprived, that's what I'm like when I'm sleep deprived, I'm so stupid. There's been so many times, if you ask one of my clients, Danielle, in the gym, I train her at 7:15, there's been so many times where I've just like fell over. I'll just be teaching her a Romanian deadlift and went to lean over and just fell over.
I mean, I'd call you like a space cadet. Because if I'm honest, like you are, I think when you're tired, you're just not in the room as much. Like, do you get what I mean? And I think when you were on your tired days, especially on the mornings when we were like, let's go CrossFit that early time, and we didn't speak for an hour in the morning, may I say? I was like, Gav, you're right, yeah, and it was just so dead. I was like, ready to go. Yeah, and I was just like, oh, okay. Gav's not a morning person, is he? But yeah, no, mate, I think you've been sound to live with. I wouldn't mind living with you.
My dad always says that I've got no observational skills. Like, I don't take in, like, you'd be like, I could get a new van and you would just walk past it. No noticing.
That's what I'm saying. You're a space cadet. You're like and I think when you're in social,
because I think I am.
You're very social. Yeah. No, you're very social, and like you're very socially aware.
And
especially with conversations, good listener. Like, you can't do this if you're fucking if you shit at that.
But I do zone out sometimes.
But you do. When I've noticed you just lit in your day-to-day life, like, because you're doing business as well, like, you obviously heads in that. I think and I think we all do it. You just sometimes so zoned out, and you're just like, my brain stopped working today. Like, that's always something I hear out of you. Like, it was like with the other night when we were like put on a film, and I was like, Gav, I can't put it on my laptop. You're like, I'm not getting this set up, but I'm just going to go listen to a podcast. And I just sat there going, why?
It's because I knew I had to get that laptop out of that stupid fucking safe. And I was like, there's no way I'm trying to...
Oh, yeah, I mean, we could do a bigger safe. I agree, for the laptops.
No chance I'm fucking doing gymnastics, trying to get my laptop out, then choosing a film. I don't even like films. You're a virgin when it comes to films with fucking...
Virgin? AMDB list?
Love Avengers and all that. I couldn't think of anything worse.
What's wrong with a bit of creativity in life? You know what I mean?
The only films I like is if the guy's cool. Hence why I put on Drive by Ryan Gosling. So I'm like, he's cool as fuck.
Drive was good, but mate, I just think I love a bit of sci-fi and a bit of imaginary stuff. At the moment, I'm reading Lord of the Rings. I'm on
See what I mean?
Sumerian. Yeah, it's amazing.
Virgin.
You definitely got that from me. I keep calling everyone a virgin. Fuck's sake, he's using my insults now. But it is. I just love the details that go into it. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
and I think like even with Brad saying about the new Avatar, mate, I cannot wait to see the new Avatar. It's going to be absolutely elite. It's either going to be elite or it's going to be a severe disappointment because the first one was just unbelievable. And that same stuff, it's just the detail that goes into it is amazing.
How have you found Bali in general? We haven't actually had this conversation. How do you think it is compared to what you thought it would be?
I actually think it's over-delivered for me. I genuinely didn't have these extreme expectations. I also think I was sort of, because of the sort of place I was in, I wasn't really thinking about it too much. And it actually has been so good. Like, I wouldn't live here because I think I get bored of eating out all the time. And yeah, I think eventually I would probably just miss the simple things like just being able to go to a food shop and get some high protein snacks or something. Yeah. But I do genuinely love it. I love the vibe. I like the people in the community. And I love that. I mean, I surf. So to get to the bottom of the island, it literally takes me half an hour to 45 minutes and you can have like a great surf. And you've literally got so many beaches on the different sides of the island where even if basically whatever the conditions are, you've got a decent wave. And so I love that element. Like normally in England, I have to go down to Cornwall or something and it's freezing. Where here you can just go in, a rash vest, mate, and it's boiling. You don't even think about, the sea temperature. So I love it for that reason as well. I've also never felt so normal in a place. Do you get what I mean here? And I don't want to feel like I'm puffing myself up here, but everyone here is jacked and tanned and reasonably good looking, like genuinely.
I think their heads are all fried as well though.
Their heads are fried, like, they always
I feel normal in a different sense. I feel like I'm very centered and like have decent morals and values, and then speak to people here and like, you're fucked, mate. Yeah,
I agree. I think like when just having the conversations with the people that I've spoke to, like they're all just still living in a crazy world. Do you got like almost?
It's like a bubble. It's like
they become so obsessed with not giving a shit that almost they've gone too far. Like they're almost
start giving a shit. You look disgusting.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Sort your life out. Like, do you get what? And that's where I think like for me previously coming out here, like I definitely gave a shit a bit too much, and I can see how this lifestyle, even any coast, even if you go to the coast in England, like down to Cornwall, I think it's like that as well.
But happy.
Yeah, it's very positive in the way that it makes you stop giving a shit so much about certain things. But I think it's also very healthy to care about certain things. And I think a lot of the people here go the complete other direction, then they stop caring about their safety and fucking. I mean, the amount of people that I've seen drive literally 60 mile an hour on a ped with no helmet on, it's just like, you're good, mate. It's just too far, isn't it? It's just too far. Like, yeah, not a fan of that.
Well, I don't like. This is going to make me sound so bad. This podcast, like, I don't have health insurance. I must be the only person in this country without it.
Once again, severely underprepared.
Do you know I didn't do it in Asia as well until we got 2 weeks in, and I was traveling with this boy. There was 5 of us, 3 from England, 1 boy from Belfast, and the boy from Belfast used to drive like really slow, like miles behind everyone else, and he was like I think he was like an accountant, just to give him some background, an accountant. Really nice guy, but pretty tame. Like wouldn't be like, we were all getting absolutely mangled doing stupid stuff. One of them had a rash on his stomach. A boy from Essex had a rash on his stomach and convinced himself he had herpes. That's the type of crowd that we're hanging about. If he actually went to a pharmacy and he was like, do I have herpes? And they were like, yeah, but they didn't know what he was saying.
See, like I think like everyone around here is quite, and I think it's any place you get quite a lot of surfers are quite adrenaline junkies. So it makes it's no surprise to me that people are going around on motorcycles at fucking mental speeds in between the tightest of spaces. And to be honest, I'd be lying to say I don't enjoy it a little bit myself. But like, it's just a line. There's just a line of where you're like, Jesus.
But anyway,
you are living on the edge.
So that Belfast boy was out one night. He'd only had like 1 beer, and he just like fell over and landed on just tripped on like a curb, fell on like all of this smashed glass, and he had about 12 stitches up his arm. And I was like, if you're really, really tame and not clumsy, and I'm getting absolutely mangled, and I'm the clumsiest guy in the world, and I didn't tell any of them I didn't have health insurance. So we were sitting on a ferry one day, and I was sitting like trying to sort out health insurance, and the Belfast boy was looking over my shoulder the full time, and as we got off the boat, he was like, you sorted out that health insurance.
There's definitely, to be honest, there's definitely a balance to be had with it though, because I think if you care too much, it's almost like trying too hard. You try too hard to be safe, you're going to constantly be, you probably are going to trip up. Like you probably are going to hurt yourself. It's a bit like on a bike. If you're unconfident, you know, like we know some people that are having flipping moped lessons and still not getting on the road. We won't mention names.
That's embarrassing.
That is embarrassing. It's like a bike. And I do think if you worry about too much though, you genuinely are probably got more chance of getting hurt. And same on a moped. Like if you're unconfident and you're driving around constantly hesitated, and someone, you know, because people are just going to whiz past you, taking over. By the way, Gavin Mckinney didn't use his mirrors. I had to remind him 5 days in that, Gav, why is your side mirror facing the sky?
Told you this before, Aaron. I was watching for planes.
Not only that, right? Every time someone would come round him to overtake, it would surprise him. He's laughing at
me because he just knows.
He knows. And it would surprise him. And I goes, Gav, it would surprise you if you actually had a mirror. That's what their mirrors are there for. And it was so funny because he made out they were broken, but turns out he was just unscrewing the mirror. And I was like, Gav, mate, it's meant to be there. This is what I'm dealing with. And honestly, it's comedy gold. But look, he's fine. He's able. Hasn't fallen off his ped yet. All right. You're doing well.
My other mate that I've been travelling with, Jamie, he's the one that does freestyle.
Yeah.
He's the Northern Irish version of me. So when we go travelling, like that's what it's like. But both of us are like that. We were in Australia and we were going from Melbourne to Brisbane, and we were trying to check in for ages. We were also still drinking, so we were steaming. And we were trying to check in for like 20 minutes, but it was like a self check-in for your bag.
Yeah.
And we were like sitting there for ages and it just wouldn't go through. And we're like, what the fuck is wrong with this thing? And then we had to get someone to come over. And the guy was like, yeah, it's not working because you have your foot on it and it thinks it's too heavy. We were just like, all right.
You see this face? No surprise, because it just doesn't surprise me, to be honest. When we waited half an hour for your bag, I genuinely thought that you probably just put it on the wrong plane. But like, no surprise. You see this face? No surprises here. This is Gavin Mckinney we're talking about.
But I kind of like living life on the edge.
That's what I'm saying. Like
I like getting myself in problems and try to figure them out.
There genuinely is a balance to be had with it, because you're going to stress yourself out so extremely if you're going to try and control everything and make sure everything's right, where you've just got to look at it and go, I'll be organised, but at the same time, if it goes wrong, I couldn't really give a shit. I know it's going to be okay. And it'll probably be a great story to tell. As I said, we're having a great crack just talking about this fucking plonker.
Every time I try to get in a country with that COVID vaccine letter, that's like, because I can't go on any of the apps. Yeah. And I remember that guy, when we were going to that shopping centre, he was like, have you got the app? And I was like, I can't get on the apps, mate. And then he was like, what was it? He asked me 2 questions and I basically gave him both answers that he didn't want. He was like, still just going. What did he ask? Yeah, like, so here, and if you go into a shopping centre, they still want you to wear a mask and they want you to be vaccinated. So he was like, have you got a mask? And I was like, nah. And he was like, have you got your vaccine passport? And I've only got a letter and it's in the safe. And I was like, nah. And he was just like, go on. I was like, cheers, mate.
Yeah, well, you had to fill out that.
That's efficient.
Fill out that app as well, didn't you? That app to confirm. Oh, no, I didn't.
I'm actually sick. I'm sick of the amount of paperwork you have to do to go places. And that's my least favourite thing, as you know, is paperwork.
Once again, unprepared. Honestly,
paperwork.
This guy, I've only got a letter for my COVID.
I can't
vaccine.
Get on the apps.
Everyone else has got just that nice little pass on their phone. Not Gavin Mckinney. No. For some reason, for me, Aaron, it took me 6 months to just get a letter. Okay, all right.
You know what
something tells me I'm unprepared from what I've seen.
I went through 3 weeks of hell trying to get that. It was the worst 3 weeks of my life.
Yeah. I love it.
Got double jabbed and no proof for it. It was as if it didn't.
Did you get the booster?
Nah, they were trying to get me to get the.
Did I thought, what's wrong with the booster?
Because they were trying to get me to get the booster so that it would come.
Let's get him cancelled.
So that it would come. I don't give a fuck. Got 2 of my jabs in England.
Yeah.
But I hadn't read. Of course, I didn't bother the full time I was living in London.
Mm-hmm.
This is just me. I didn't change my doctors down in England because I was like, I don't get sick, so that'll be fine. Went and got my 2 walk-in jabs in England. I also had to lie on the ground for the first one because I'm scared of needles.
They're tiny. I really don't get the fear of needles, man.
Because it gets snaps in your arm or something, you die.
Mate, when I had my shoulder done, they put one this big down my neck, and you didn't even feel a thing. So I don't get it.
I had to get these 2 teeth.
Oh, that hurts. I'll give you that. The ones in the gum when they numb you. Yeah, that hurts.
Didn't hurt for me. I went to a special place and got put to sleep.
You're fucking joking me.
No.
You got what did they do?
They actually jabbed me here.
Right.
And it put me to sleep. And then they took my teeth out.
Yeah, that's a general anaesthetic.
I was like, I'm not letting you jag me in the mouth. There's absolutely no way there's any needles going in my mouth whilst my eyes are open.
I love it. You're such an outgoing person, but inside you're a deep down drama queen, aren't you?
I've got a few quirks.
Yes.
Is there any other quirks you've noticed about me? Because I feel like you spend quite a bit of time with me.
Let's talk about your secret eating.
I'm not secret.
Gavin Mckinney is a secret eater. He might not be a fat kid anymore, but you still can't take it out of him. All right. He listen to this, right? 1, he has to have breakfast. All right. If he doesn't have breakfast, even worse.
It's non-negotiable.
It's like, all right, you're just setting off a bomb. You then also listen to this, right? If he can't get to sleep, he has to eat something in the middle of the night, right? To then get him to sleep. What are them fucking things you've been eating, them snacks? And like, I'm not a snacker, right?
The little wafer things.
How many did you go through? Two in 2 days?
There has to be plenty of stock available, or I'll freak out.
This guy, honestly, I remember so in our place we're staying, like our rooms are opposite each other. We literally like look each other in the eye as we talk to other clients. It's quite creepy, to be honest.
Yes.
It is. You don't like it, do you?
Well, I make sure that one of the blinds is
One of the blinds is shut. I have both blinds open, like, bring it on, come on, let's have a staring contest. But I'm literally in there for an hour, and I think Gavin's made 4 trips to the fridge just to have a few little one of his bars. He's just constantly on sugar.
I don't think I can go like 20 minutes without something being in my mouth.
Well, that's what he said to me, because I said to him, I was like, maybe you should try not having breakfast. He's like, mate, I get hypo. I'm gonna. He walked up these stairs from Greenbull, which is like a beach just on a massive cliff. You have to go down. Honestly, these steps, big workout. But Gav was freaking out when his legs started wobbling. He's
I got to the top and tried to put my shoe on. It was like that, mate. And I'm not. That's not even an exaggeration. That's what it's like. Now I was like, trying to.
When I had to go up and down there twice, horrendous. I totally agree with you there. But you are a secret eater, and it's been quite thrilling to see it. If I'm honest. Witness the behaviours.
Yeah, I think I don't realise how weird I am until I go out, like, because my dad thinks I'm a freak with stuff like that, but just get meeting other people. Like I was telling him the story on my I had comedians on, and they didn't really know me, and I was telling them stories about how the last girl I was seeing, I had to like go, if we had like a pizza or something greasy, I would have to shower after it.
Yeah.
If I get grease on my face, I like start freaking out. I have to shower. I've just got, and like every time I've had like a girlfriend, I just notice how weird some of the things I do are.
You're an only child, aren't you?
Yes.
I think that says it all. I think because you don't have siblings and people to go, you're fucked up. you just build these innate ways, and it's probably like the same way you're a bit of a space cadet as well. It's like, I'm not being on.
Hang back on that word.
Move your mic closer, so I want to look in your eyes when I insult you. No, I'm joking. But all it is I think when you're an only child, like you're used to making your own company in a way and doing your own things. And I think that's why because this is when we first came out, right? I was just like, as you are, when you come out with someone, you're accustomed to doing things with that person. But Gavin made it very fucking clear from the get-go. It's like, you can go there on your own. I can go there on my own. I was like, all right, mate. It's like, okay. Like, and to be fair, like, it wasn't as bad as that. But I was like, I think I get the message, Gav. All right, mate, sweet. But Gav loves to do things on his own. Like, and it's just, if you make him do something he doesn't want to do, fuck me. I can't wait till this bloke gets in a relationship. It's gonna be the argument you're gonna have. You want me to go and do something but this is my day. This is the thing. But I do. That's one thing reason why I can tell you're an only child.
My last girlfriend worked with her, got the train back work because they get putting us on the same shifts. When they put us on the same shifts, had the same breaks with her in work. She stayed at mine or I stayed at hers every weekend. And I took 2 days off of work, told everyone I was sick. She figured out I wasn't sick and was fucking fuming at me. I just wanted 2 days.
2 days on my own,
away
please.
from everything.
This is what I mean. It's so interesting with you because I think you're so extroverted in a way. Like,
Some people think I'm not,
I think me and you get a lot of energy from other people. Like, I wouldn't say being on my own gives me energy. I've had enough of that. I like, with how I was living and working in England, like, I like being around people. And, but I think, I don't know what they call it when you like a bit of your own space. I think everyone does. I don't believe like people don't. I think it's nice sometimes to sit on the sofa for, 2 or so hours and just be like,
it depends.
No one's speaking to me.
It depends with me. Like, when you're saying I was adamant about, like, you doing stuff, and doing it on your own, when it was stuff I did, like anything to do with your surfboard, I'm nowhere near it. You were like, right, I'm gonna go buy a surfboard, and you were like, right, we're gonna go here, and I was like, no, you're gonna go there.
Yeah, that was the one. Gavin, can we just go? No, as you go there. I'll see you back at the place. And I was like, fair enough. Hey, but this is why I said this is why the friendship works. Is because like it's no like. Because you could talk about it like a relationship, really.
Yeah, it
is though, isn't it? Like people, the problem so much why people don't know where they stand with people or why people get frustrated is because they have these annoyances and they don't voice them. And what you're actually good at, and I think both sides are actually good at, is going, do you know what? Like, no, fuck off. I'm going to go do my own shit. And you could go off and do it. And to be fair, I did drag you and Brad along to the beach the other day when I went surfing. And it was...
Yeah, see what I mean? I sat in a cave with Brad for like an hour. It was fine, right?
You had a great chat.
Yeah, but imagine I was on there on my own.
Thank me. What?
Imagine I was on there on my own, just getting harassed.
Yeah, I mean, she was. They do harass you here. Some of the old ladies, bless them. They rub your calf just, even when you don't ask, and it's horrible. It's like a vicious.
Are they rubbing your calf?
Scrap, mate. When I went there the other day, they were just grabbing my calf and I was like, no. So I've developed this ability in Bali to just not, I wouldn't say be rude, but be very clear. So like you go past a massage, play massage, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like just no. Like no, it's like, or no thank you if I feel really nice. But you just got to be clear because otherwise they just don't stop.
They won't stop.
They're relentless. Coconut? No.
I think it's alright when you're on holiday, but when you're here non-stop, then it just...
Yeah, you look, when you're actually like living here, not like you've been here for a week. When you're here for a couple of months, you just, eventually you're going to be sick of it.
So you know the way we were talking about online coaching, we'd always be like, we need, and then because we're both extroverted, I've said this a million times on the podcast, I didn't want to do like just solely online coaching, or not for a long phase anyway, because unless I always need something that's socializing. Coming out here has not made me change my mind, but made me realize like the positives to it, just that you can actually go away, and we don't actually have to online coach in our house, and we can actually go away. Do you think there's anywhere, I think this has changed your mind about stuff like that? Do you think you would try anywhere else other than Bali?
Yeah, definitely. I'd be open to a lot of places, to be honest. I think the big transition in perspective when you come to a place like this is you automatically now work to live as opposed to live to work. You know, I talk about what I've been like for the last year in England. It's like Groundhog Day, man. Every day was the same. I'd spend all day working because there was just fucking nothing else to do. And you're on autopilot all the time. We're here, you want to go and do things. As I said, like I'll wake up in the morning, Gavin's fucking in the land of Nod. I'm there, I'll just go surfing. And
on your own.
On my own, not with Gavin because he wouldn't like that. And genuinely, it's so great. And that's probably the difference and the transition that I think is so important. And that's why I definitely do it in a lot of places. But I do think Bali is pretty special for that, bearing in mind the amount of people that come here for that is because, one, the surf's great. You don't get that a lot of places, if you know anything about surf, but also, like, it's not...
I intend on learning none.
And it's also not expensive. I mean, we eat out 3 meals a day, and on average, you're probably spending £15 to £20, depending on where you're going. Protein is extremely expensive over here, as Gavin states. You need to get a mortgage out to get some protein, and we're even having like 1 to 2 shakes a day just to keep up the gains.
Twice a day, I'm nearly sick in the pool. Trying to get my protein intake.
It is vile, mate. It is. We're not going to mention the brands, but it's not good. It isn't good, is it?
It's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, it's pretty shit.
But there's no other way of getting protein unless you want a hoof chicken down your throat.
Agreed. And yeah, as I said, I think Bali's a good destination for it.
I think, see, when I spoke about when I've lost the plot when I came back from Australia, that was the shift back the way, and that's why I struggled so much. When I moved to Australia, I always get it mixed up, worked to live, and then when we came back straight away, I was living to work. And doing it back the way, it's refreshing doing it changing, but doing it back the way is like, you lose the plot.
I can imagine it. Well, it's very easy to, it's one thing when I go home, I probably want to change up a few things, because I just think it needs changing up. Like, if I genuinely want to be, like, I feel how, like, I've been so productive since I've been over here. Definitely probably want to break from face-to-face coaching. Like, I've done it for the last 3 years. But it's, how productive and how much I'm enjoying, and my energy levels here in comparison to at home is a different gravy. And I think, I'm not going to lie, it's amazing having a 2-month break from boring winter in England, having 8 hours of sunlight. Here it's, even if it's raining, it's boiling, it's warm. God, I'm getting plenty of sun. I'm trying to get a tan, but it's not going that great. But I think it all plays into it, quite frankly. And I think even if you go to Australia, I think why so many people are in that same lifestyle is because the weather is good. And I think I wouldn't like to say to people, because I think I wouldn't like to say weather is the big differentiator, but because people are in cold countries and fucking loving life. But I think it does massively play into it, especially if you think about summer in England. There is more to do than there is winter. Winter is like hibernation time.
So Tony was one of the last few episodes, my old coach. By the way, that episode's done class. So soundest guy ever.
Yeah, I listened to that.
Gonna have him on again, but he said one thing and I didn't disagree with him enough. I just don't like debating. But he said, if you're not happy back home, moving won't change that. So you need to make yourself happy at home. And I actually couldn't disagree with him more, because when you're at home, you're stuck. You've got so many things that are so difficult to get out of, like your family, like your friendship groups, your work status. When you move to a different country, you're forced to find new places. So you're forced to find new friends, forced to find new environments. The weather will probably be better, and it actually gets you out of the thing you're stuck in. So
I'd agree.
That's why a lot of people do go to Australia and never want to come home, because they actually
it's almost
are
like
happy.
they're living in a trance of like a new life that's just a bit better.
You can literally go to that country and you won't change. You won't, like, your personality won't change massively. I felt like I could be more myself over there, because I felt like I was stuck. I didn't have proper good friends in Glasgow at the time. I do now. That's why I'm actually quite happy at home now. But at the time, I still had like schoolmates, and they were dead cliquey and that.
Yeah.
And then I didn't really have any other mates, and all my mates were from freestyle, and they were all around like the UK and different countries and stuff. So I just didn't have it. And when I went out with people, sometimes you wouldn't get invited out because there's people that didn't like you there and all that.
Fuck that shit.
So I think that's, and if I never moved away, I'd have probably got stuck in that, because when you're in it, it's so hard. Like, what was I going to do at 21? Like, go join it? It's very hard to like. And then when I came back from Asia, I made loads of friends, and then I worked in a bar, and then I made different mates there, and that was the first time I was like, right, okay, I can actually make different mates and then get out of that bubble. But moving away forces you out of it, and that shift straight away from working to live rather than living to work happens instantly. You go out, you do a 8-hour bar shift in Melbourne, you come back and people are like, do you want to go for a barbecue on the beach? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
You do that at home, you're like, do you want to watch fucking The Chase with your dad?
Yeah, I'm not into that. I think what you're saying is absolutely right. I think what Tony's probably implying is, eventually you're going to have to learn to find a place where you settle down, you enjoy the mundane life, and it's got what you've wanted. And to be honest, like, I wouldn't say I'm ever running away from where I live because, you know, I do have some great friends there. I have some good friendship groups. Like, I would never say that's the problem at all. At the same time, I love meeting new people. Like, it's great. Like, I think you learn so much from people, and that's one reason why I do very much enjoy going places. And, you know, what you were saying about Australia reminds me very similar to New Zealand. It's just a different lifestyle. And the difference is, and I think this is why so many people go to Australia or go to New Zealand, is that people are just nicer. That's it, you know. And you talk a reason why so many people in the like Western world or whatever have got loads of social anxiety and all this shit, right? It's because people walk past people in the street and don't say hello. Don't say how's your day.
That's probably
they
where you
fucking look at you like you're about to rob them. I went for a walk around where I lived.
From in southern England.
Yeah,
Glasgow's not like that.
In the Midlands I live, right? And I was just going for a walk in the morning, and this woman, like, I try and say hello to as many as possible. To be honest, the old ladies, they're the best ones. I was like, good morning, how are you? Like, you know, it's quite nice, but there's like a middle-aged woman, and she looked like I was about to stab her or something. And I was just like, I'm not going to, what? Like, and I think that's the issue. I genuinely believe, like, that is the main reason, the difference probably from living where I live in the UK and living in somewhere like Australia and New Zealand. It's just such a big community feel going to the place that you live, especially so when I lived in New Zealand, moved over there when I was 20, lived there for 8 months. And, you know, I just felt such part of a community and a tribe. And I feel like that's what everyone, you know, everyone's missing. You know, you talk about that book we both read it, and we go in a hurry about lost connections and stuff. And he's saying, like, people are feeling so shit about themselves because they just don't feel part of anything anymore. And I think that's why Australia, New Zealand, that area is so, you know, people look and enjoy it so much, is because of the connections in the community.
People want to help you out so much when you're in these places because you're all in the same boat. Then also, like, when you're in Australia, you just don't give a fuck about any sort of status stuff.
Yeah.
Like, none. But Aussies do. If you're in Sydney, all the Aussies care about their status.
Yeah.
The backpackers.
Finding the community, right, people, isn't it?
The people on visas do not give a fuck. Like, they'll tell. We're all, mate, we used to, probably shouldn't say this when I'm going to Australia in 2 weeks. We all used to, let's just say.
Can I just say, Gavin just said he's going to Australia in 2 weeks. He's going a week today. This is the issue. All right, he's getting it. He's still.
Hey, listen, I'm not a man about dates.
Yeah. He's missing his flight. Don't you worry about that. Anyway, let's go on. I'll remind you.
Let's just say we used to, like, in fact, actually, there's some rules, and this happened in a different country, right?
Go on.
We used to misplace stuff when you were going through the shopping centre, and it was a big thing. Like, as in, like, this thing that you would scan things on wouldn't understand the weight. You know, if you as soon as you put something on,
is that a bit like in Tesco when you just, like, it's like assistance needed.
Yeah. So in the UK, as soon as it feels a pin on there, it's like that's it. Things screaming out. It's like alert, unexpected item in the bag.
I've got a fug. This is a fug.
In Australia, the voice may as well go, I don't fucking know what's on that. Do you know what I mean? So
so chill.
That's what the backpackers were like. People were just used to.
Yeah,
I'm very nervous about saying stuff like that because the laws in this country, if you steal, are mad. So this was a long time ago in a different country, and it wasn't me; it was people I know.
Gavin the fug. Either way, no, I do genuinely believe that is the big difference. And I like, even just going back to what Tony said, I do sort of understand what he's saying, because I know so many people that travelled multiple countries and are doing it into their 30s and still looking for something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you looking for, mate? The life that you probably want is right under your feet. You're just still looking for something. And I think it's got a lot to do with relationships. I think it's got a lot to do with, you know, having the right people around you. I've travelled to Portugal, and it was probably the most unhappy, you know, I lived there for 3 months playing rugby, probably the most unhappy I was been, because there was just nothing to do, even in Portugal. So, like, you know, I wouldn't say I met some good people there and stuff, but I just, day to day, there wasn't the things that I desired. So I think what a lot of people are looking for in this world is probably a day full of doing the things they want to do that allows them to do the job they want to do and is surrounded by the people they want to be with.
My flight to Australia really in a week.
Yeah, it's on Friday, bro. Wait, let me...
That's went in rapid.
Yeah, it's on the 9th, right?
I thought I was still here for another month.
I'm here for another month. Oh, are you coming back?
Yeah, I'm going to come back.
Oh, this is another thing. This is another thing that happened. I was so interested about... I was planning to go on Australia, but I'm not going to bother now because I just can't bother to go over to Australia. And Gavin was like, again, he's like, you don't have to come with me. And he's like, because I was like, I didn't want to put pressure on him, but I always wanted to come back to Bali and do 2 months because I genuinely love it.
That's why I said it though, because before we even came here, you were like, I want to do 2 months here. And I was like, I probably don't. That's why I was quite... It's just so we're on the same page.
You're setting your stones, mate. You're setting your boundaries. It's a very healthy thing, mate.
Cemented in the ground.
Fair play to you.
I don't think I was always like this. Do you know what I think? See what you're talking about with the organisation thing and all that.
Yeah.
My dad's very much like that, and I think I've just went. I love my dad, so close to him, but I think a lot of what I've done is against.
You've rebelled. You've rebelled.
He wanted me to be an electrician, or like he wanted me to get a trade out of school, and I was like, absolutely fucking not. Do you know what I mean? That's what
you'd be earning cash right now.
I'd be terrible at it, mate.
Not a lot of people are doing it.
I'd be terrible. I can't. They asked me to change a light bulb in the pub I was working in Melbourne. I just grabbed it and smashed it.
Heavy hands, isn't it? Heavy hands, Gav. I mean, yeah.
So I think that's a lot of my upbringing, and as well, like my mum was quite torturous to live with, so I think I went against what she like. We used to argue all the time.
Yeah.
So I think I went against a lot of what she said. See, when you read that Johann Hari book, what was like because there was moments when I was reading it that were like genuinely epiphany moments, and it's not a self-help book. It was just so, I just felt like I hadn't heard it put in those ways, and cause I think it depends when you read a book as well, what state you're in, because even the Mark...
I've read books twice, and I feel like the second time was a completely different take from what I've
Mark Manson, Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Mate, second time, different book.
First time I read it, I'd been in Melbourne for like 4 months. I was the happiest. I'm happy right now. Like I'm really happy. Like or content. I don't like the word happy, but I just don't have any struggles, and I'm quite content with what I'm doing as long as I don't get dragged to go.
My favourite chapter of that book, by the way, is number 3. You are not special.
I can't remember chapters. I never remember it, but I remember reading it and just going, I don't know what I've just read. I just read a load of fucking gobbledygook shit, and then when I came back from Australia, and I broke. Like I didn't really have like a real bad breakup. But like I came back from Australia, I was gutted about coming home from Australia. Came back into the second lockdown, snowing and all sorts. In a lockdown, no mates. Well, not no mates, but like just couldn't really go out and about. And then I read that book, and I was like, Jesus, that's a different book, isn't it?
Yeah, I think for me, I read it quite recently, and I look at it in completely different light. I think it's genuinely a brilliant book. Like if I could give it to so many people, I would. The big take for me is I feel like, such a great point that we just need to learn to stop giving a fuck about certain things. And I think why we're driving ourselves as people so insane half of the time is because we're caring about shit that just doesn't matter, man. And I'm the same.
I said something to you, but I think I genuinely think you had a moment where you were like, he's so right, where you were giving a fuck, like, I won't say anything about what it is, but you were giving a fuck about something.
About the fault and responsibility.
And I was... Mate,
biggest take I got from that.
No, but I said something to you the other day, and I was like, why are you caring about that? And you went, you're right. I was like, I don't care about it.
It bruised my ego.
Yeah.
but yeah. Mate, but
I said it to you, and you were
agree.
Like, I don't.
This is why it's good. This is why it's a great relationship. He just keeps me on the burn, and he keeps me honest. But it's so right. Like, the biggest take that I took from that book is people. I think this is where business can fuck you up a bit. Like, definitely for me, because I was not like it before. I feel like when you do a business, work on something, I feel that you learn to understand that the details matter. You learn to sweat the details. You learn to realize that them little things can make up the big things, can make you achieve great things, right?
Yeah, like the first 5 seconds of your video.
Yeah, and exactly. And this happened to me with my Don't Be a Dick content. Like, I just got so obsessed with making it right. It was taking me 2 hours to do 3 videos. And the amount of stress and the amount of shit that was causing me, it was just ridiculous. And I just think that the reason why so many people are so stressed out, we're so anxious or whatever it is because we're caring too much. And it's gonna happen. I mean, we're the most educated apes we've ever been. Like, we're so educated now, and we've got answers on our phones. It's almost like the surfing aspect of things, and even the weather.
As everyone goes back to surfing, by the way, you'll get used to it.
Surfing. Either way, instead of just going to the beach and just going, let's just see what the surf's like today and just take it as it is, we have to make sure we know the forecast. We have to make sure we know that if the rain's coming, why can't we just go and enjoy the fucking day? And just take on, if it rains, it fucking rains and we deal with it. But the problem is now we're projecting what things are going to happen before they've even happened. That is literally the definition of anxiety. That's the definition of stress.
Yeah.
You're trying to predict what's already happening because you've got a phone that tells you, and you're trying to do that with every aspect of your life. I'm so guilty of it. But it's the thing that I would say, if you can take away from that book, is that just go with the flow, man. Just, and like some days, that's one thing I do like about you. You're so prepared that it does it because it doesn't stress them out as much. And sometimes if you are so prepared, you're just fucking yourself in the long run.
Yeah, my dad never believes how unprepared I am. He just can't believe it.
To be honest, my parents think I'm so overprepared. Like, and if I showed them you, they would disown you. Simple as that.
There was a moment where my dad was dropping me off at Edinburgh Airport, and you had just rang me saying, here, you need a flight out of Indonesia to get in.
Fuck's sake.
And I just answered the phone, and my dad had just went, can you smell burning? And he just dropped me off, got out of the car, realised, and it's my car as well. Well, not my car, but like my dad, like we're sharing it.
Yeah.
That 06 one. So I've only been driving it for like 2 months as well.
Wonder why I struggled with filling up with petrol, eh? Go on.
And that he realised that the tyres on the car were burning. I don't know how that happens, but the burning smell was, we were driving, we smelt it like 10 minutes before.
The tarmac definitely not too hot in Scotland.
No, definitely not. We smelt it like 10 minutes before, and he was like, that definitely won't be this car. Like, there won't be. And then I got out the car, you were on the phone to me saying you need a flight out of Indonesia, and he was sitting going, the burning smell is definitely the car. And me and him were looking at each other, and I was like, you sort that out, I'll sort this out.
Like, it's 2 phones. Aaron, I'm struggling.
No, I was with him.
Honestly, even when we were having that call in the airport, because we were both unprepared for this, lack of research.
Yeah, I'm not going to for that one.
Yeah, but it was funny because Gav was like, are you not stressed out? I'm severely stressed out right now. I was like, this isn't good for me. And I was just like, I'm all right with it, to be fair. I was like, but I know what you mean. I said, my heart rate's going.
The only thing that stresses me out is airports. I've just had quite a few
bad experiences.
Yeah, mostly my fault.
That doesn't surprise me.
One time, I was getting a flight home from London. I hate that airport with a passion. Stansted in London.
Stansted or Gatwick, mate?
Gatwick's fine. Stansted's horrible.
It's all right if you live in London. Gatwick's all right if you live in London, mate. If you're north of London.
They've not got enough seats for the place. Anyway, I was there 2 hours early, and I was waiting on the gate to come up. And the gate came up, got a train to the gate. I know it was like gate 88 or something, can't remember what gate it was. Got there and it said EasyJet Geneva on it. And I was like, is this not the flight to Glasgow? And they were like, no, it's Geneva. Because it says Geneva on it.
Begins with G.
Yeah. And I was like, where's the flight to Glasgow? And they were like, gate 2. And I was like, well, that doesn't sound close.
How can you get that wrong? Like,
do you know what happened? As the 2 gates came up, the Glasgow and Geneva flight were at the same time, both EasyJet.
And you've looked across and gone,
the boards. Yeah, I basically had a bit of a.
Yeah, the one below. Yeah, you should have got your ruler out. Is that what you're saying? Ooh, there we go.
Listen, I think it's undiagnosed dyslexia.
Yeah, what did I get? I've got a bit of undiagnosed of that, to be fair.
I managed to get the flight. I get they're taken across the runway with one other guy from Glasgow that had done the same thing. And we only still caught the flight because the boarding got delayed by 15 minutes. So I've just done so much, and I'm not going to lie, all the vaccine stuff really stresses me out. All of these different forms and all that. I don't know why. It's just there's so much paperwork. I hate paperwork. Like even the woman next to me, which, like when I had to do like the locator form or whatever from here, she was watching me and I was like, take it, the answer is no to all these questions. And I was just like,
oh yeah, I remember you did. Well, you said that. You just said to me, just say no to them all, Aaron. It's like, because I did, and I was like, okay, I won't read them then. honestly, mate. As I said though, if you want to have some good stories to tell, you can't be in control of everything all the time.
Yeah, that is the fun part. I'm kind of living my life the way I would usually live it anyway, but I kind of like it because I like having. I've always been the type of person that likes to have stuff to talk about or stories to tell or whatever.
Oh mate, my group of mates, they're a bit older than me, and I remember we spent time. I was single at the time, and we just went around my friend's house in Warwick, and they all just said like, Aaron's just a storyteller. Because I was just coming up with these stories, like working in abattoir. That's what they'd take the piss out of me. And then, because then as soon as I start talking, they're like, oh, here we go, abattoir. Like they know that I'm just going to come out of a story. But like, I sit there and I go, at least I got something to say.
Yeah.
Like, and it's the best part. Like, you're going to remember stories. And none of the stories I remember, I'll be honest, started from things going how they should have gone or not having a drink and things going wrong. Like I love that. That's not advocating being an absolute loose cannon, but what my point is, you gotta let go a bit.
Yeah,
to have it, you gotta let your hair down.
If you can't come back from Asia with a story, you're a failure.
I mean, what have you been doing?
Today we moved on to the sort of not giving a fuck.
Yeah,
I actually wanted to talk about lost connections. So, see, when you were reading that, did you have any moments where you were like, "That's so right"? Because I was like, I cried twice reading that book.
Yeah, fuck. I mean, I'll be honest, it was before that I'd had any sort of issues mental health wise. So I didn't probably connect to it as much as I could have. I was more thinking about that's what it's like for other people. Right. And you know, a big one was the grief exception. Like big one, realizing that, you know, if you're having like depressive symptoms, anxiety symptoms, and you've just lost a person, you haven't got, you know, you're not got depression or anything like that. You've just lost someone who's a big part of you. And, you know, that's going to make you feel a bit empty. You've just lost part of you, really, haven't you? It's going to take time for that to heal up and stuff. And that was a big thing that I took about it. But I just took a lot with the message in general, that I think the problem is now we spend less time with people more than ever before. We're on our phones more than ever before. We don't actually have a conversation anymore because it's just too easy to drop them a message and just go hello. And like, I think people should be shit texters. I think they should make a fucking effort to see people. And I think the problem now is people isolate themselves. You know, they don't go and see their friends. They don't make that effort when it comes to a journey. Oh, it's fucking half an hour away. I'm like, mate, what the fuck are you doing? Do you know? And for me, I don't think having FaceTime's pretty good. Keeps you pretty connected across the globe with your family and stuff, and it is nice, but it's just not the same.
No, Zoom and all that shit.
It's not the same. Over Zoom. Like we know that sometimes from, you know, as much as our business is great and doing online coaching helps facilitate our life and helps us deliver a good service that helps people get in shape, like face-to-face coaching is still a different kettle of fish in a way. And, you know, I do think that's the message that I took from it is, I mean, I've always think I value a lot of my friends, and I think my friends probably know that anyway. I don't think any one of my friends would probably go, Aaron just cares about himself. I've always tried to be out there with people because I think I just know how important they are. From my own personal experiences, like you need people there for you. And I think it's just great to just go, mate, do you want to go for a coffee? I remember one of my friends saying, like, he was living in Glasgow and, you know, he's
big up.
What?
Big
yeah, he's living in Glasgow and
did he have a boat?
Great story. No, he fucking didn't. Not on the locks. Fucking hell. We're not gonna what?
No, keep going. But
anyhow, and I hadn't come up and seen him yet in Glasgow. I actually did eventually go and see him when I came up and saw Gav as well and did the first podcast. But like when he came down, I just dropped him a message, say, "Hey bro, let's go for a coffee." And like, just don't feel people do that enough. Like we only see people in crowds, or we don't see people at all now, and we don't make an effort to actually just have that one-on-one conversation to go, how things going, mate? Like, to discuss whether people's, you know, relationships are going well, or whether they're genuinely happy in the job they're doing, or whether they're, you know, enjoying where they're at, or just having a fucking great crack.
Yeah.
You can't laugh. Like, even we've had on this podcast already, like, and I'm not being funny, we've had so many moments.
I feel like a lot of it's been at the expense of myself.
It has. I mean, you've kind of been a bit of a, yeah, I'd agree. But I feel like even outside of this, we've had so many chats where we just giggle at some of the stupid shit that we see, people talking about their boats on the fucking locks. You know, like, it's funny moments.
A fucking cleaner killing a mantis.
Oh, mate. Do you know what? It was the nicest. I was literally taking videos and sending it to my friends, put it on my story and everything. And then Gavin's just messaged me like, mate, the cleaner's just assassinated our mantis, praying mantis and everything. And apparently she's hit it 30 times with a broom.
Honestly, one of the most traumatizing things I've ever seen. If you can imagine a mantis, right, I would just sit on here, just like, not cutting about, just chilling out. I'd seen him, he like went into like the flowers, could barely see him, he was just chilling there like that. It's just like, I'm having a good time. Cleaner comes in.
Scott, I'm having a good time.
Cleaner comes in, takes him off, puts him in the ground, gets a broomstick, and just like the scene out of In-Betweeners with Neil and the fish, just hammers this praying mantis. And I'm just sitting there on the couch like, I think it's dead. I think you've killed it. I think the first hit, it was dead.
I'm glad I'm not there for that, because I'm a bit of a nature person, to be honest. We're actually on about going to the zoo. That's in our itinerary, isn't it? That'll be class. But yeah, going back to the point before fucking our cleaner assassinated a mantis, is people just need to have more time and actually make an effort with people. And I feel like we don't, because we're so stuck in our phones a bit. And that's one thing that I really enjoy. And I don't know and that's why I don't have to drink when I go out. You know what, my mates will know this. I think I developed I wouldn't call it an ability, but a lot of people would, because they can't feel like they can't do it. I was playing rugby. It's not obvious, but I was playing rugby a lot when I was, 18 years old, and chasing the dream, thinking I was going to be a professional rugby player. So I didn't go out and drink, if I actually wanted to be at social occasions. And I actually, from doing that, I realised there's a lot more value in actually just being there, being present, being sober, and there's a lot to enjoy in it. And I think just having chats with people is just amazing.
I'm getting there.
You said to me, you were like, feel like I'm moving towards it, because we're going Single Fins Bar, which is in Uluwatu on a cliff, and
if anyone who knows me in the past knows Single Fins would have been like, I'd have been in the dance room. Like, not gurning, not.
Is that good? I guess
I actually wasn't bad for that. I was just bad for pints. Pints. I still love the taste of a pint, but do you know? I also listened to a lot of audiobooks, a lot of podcasts, and just like Chris Williamson was talking about it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I do feel like I probably had a lot of false confidence with women through drink.
100%.
Like, or not even false. Like, I would be able to get, like, I hate all this chat, but I'd be fine with women. But every single time I'd be drunk as well.
I think people
I'd be like, I
general.
have just this heightened confidence that's just through alcohol. And then when you take it away, I think that's the hardest thing, is when you take it away. Like, if you're single, you don't want to be single and like not ever chatting to anyone. So you're always like, it's on everyone's mind who's single. Like,
of course it is.
The other sex or the same sex or whatever. If you like shagging plants, I don't know what you're into.
Okay, go.
But anyway,
just
little side chat tangent there.
Love it.
But you're always thinking about the other sex. So I think every time I went out, people do look at it as like maybe an opportunity, even meeting new people or whatever, and just be like, even 2 or 3, just like ticks you over a little bit. Like, are those first 2 or 3? I never stuck to 2 or 3. I usually just get absolutely mangled. But even the first 2 or 3, like, brings you to that bit where you can just sit, sort of relax. Whereas you realize when you don't have it, you're like, oh, I actually don't have the confidence I thought I had. Yeah. So now I feel like I'm getting it though. I feel like it's more this, see, the nervous feeling I've got before a few podcasts.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I'd have maybe had that going out into situations where I would have felt like I needed a drink, and those 2 or 3 first ones would have just took that away. Yeah. But now,
to be fair, I would have that. I would still have that same feeling. And it's probably why I didn't go out as much as people that did drink, is because, you know, it's very easy. If you don't want to go, if you're not like a liver for going out, like you will probably go, do you know what, I'm just going to spend the night in. So I definitely understand that. My case has been the opposite. So I always feel that because I'm sober, a lot of the time I see people non-drinking and drinking, people are like different people. Like I've been speaking to people before, like even let's say the opposite sex, right? And they'll be like, you wouldn't even know. They just talk to you or be very casual. So when you speak to them when they're out, they're all of a sudden like, I'm really into you. I'm like, fuck, you didn't, what? Or the opposite, like, I fucking hate you. And I'm like, okay. But do you get what I mean? So it's almost like, I agree, people have this, you have so much more confidence when you drink. And I can understand why so many people do it for that reason. But I'm not against drinking. That's one thing that I would say to a lot of people. I pick and choose, and I think that's probably, in my opinion, the healthiest way to be, because I still believe nothing can beat having a few drinks with your mates on a good occasion. You know, I love a pub crawl at Christmas time. I'm devastated that I'm not going to be with my mates having 12 pints in 12 hours, you know, but like it's having that ability to, you know, leave it and go, do you know what? I'm only going out for a few hours tonight. I don't need to drink so many pints. Or I'm not a believer in one. 10 sounds good to me, but one sounds horrific, because the whole point, and you know, the whole point you drink is because you want that feeling, you want that vibe. And I just don't understand having a beer at home. Not a thing for me.
Nah, but I was always a social drinker. But I would have been taking it too far every single time.
So you're the sort of guy that's like, don't give me one, because if you give me one, it's going to turn into 10.
Yeah.
Right, got you.
Well, we used to have the problem in Melbourne. We used to get 2 free drinks after knockoffs. And every time I had the second one, I'd just be like, I'm out.
We're in.
I'm out.
We're moving.
I'm already tipsy. Where's my third one?
I mean, I know some people that have got like ultra egos when they drink. They're a different human. They're not the same.
I'm not a different human. I'm just.
They're not. They're a different animal.
Just slightly louder, but like I'd be the type of person that you wouldn't really know. Sometimes you wouldn't know I was drunk. Sometimes you definitely would, but sometimes I would just be sitting chatting to you like this. Yeah. But I wouldn't remember it.
Yeah, I'm really.
Yeah, I would black out. But I'd black out, but I wouldn't be like legless.
Yeah, the only time I've blacked out is when I've been absolutely paralytic.
No, I'd black out like not that drunk. My brain would just switch off.
My brother's like that. I
think that's because we were working so much and also drinking frequently. So we aren't getting fucked every night. But when you work in a bar, it was like 3 or 4. You maybe have like 4 pints like on a Monday, and you maybe have 4 pints on a Thursday.
Sunday sessions in Australia.
Then you might be out Saturday and Sunday properly, and that's every week. So that's like you'd be drinking like 4 or 5 times a week, maybe 2 or 3 times really heavily.
Yeah.
And then my brain would just start switching off. But that's what I'm trying to. I actually am quite enjoying trying to learn. But I'm only able to do it because like you and Brad don't drink much. That's the only way. Because if I'd done it with some of my mates, it's like, no, you're out.
Yeah.
So when you go out with people back home,
it's your environment though, isn't it?
When you go out with people who are back home who are drinkers and you're trying not to drink, all your night becomes is saying no to cunts. That's all it becomes. You seen Hannah do it to us the other day. She's like, "Are you gonna drink on Sunday?" I was like, "Nah," and it's just straight away like an actual. It's like a go at you, and you're just like, that's why I don't enjoy it sometimes going out with people like and trying not to drink, because you have to have that conversation like 30 times. It's just like, why can't I just not? I mean, have that?
A couple of my mates smoke, and my one mate Danny, he literally, it's become a thing now for the last 10 years. Well, that's. Yeah, from probably 12. No, I'm joking. Maybe a bit longer. Maybe from like 15. Every time he's out, he's like, "Do you want a fag?" He says it without fail. Like it happens because it's his thing to me, because you know he smokes and he just knows I'm going to say no, and he just loves it. Yeah. He just, you know. So my friends, it's happened when I was 15, 16, and I was even saying like no to. I wasn't really into a lot of drugs. Not really a fan of drugs and like smoking especially. I just built this custom saying no. My mates just love it about me now. They've almost accepted it so much that they like it. At the time, they were like, "Fucking, what's wrong? What's wrong with Aaron? Fucking have a good time," you know. But now it's become part of my personality, and people actually they like it, they accept it, and they go, "Fair enough."
You're able to have a good time if, like, people that are drinking let you. Like if
Yeah.
people that are drinking just let it be,
Mm.
you can enjoy yourself. But the problem starts when that conversation starts. Just leave that conversation of why you're not drinking out. Everyone can have a good time.
Totally agree. And you know, we went to this Single Fins bar, didn't we, on Sunday?
I had a great time.
Fucking people watching, fantastic.
Yeah.
Proper judgmental bastards, but apart from that, great. No, but
But
it was
going
just
this time. I'm still not going to drink, but I'll actually go on the dance floor and stuff this time because we only went there because we were next to it. We wanted to see what it was like. We're actually going this time.
yeah.
But like, if you're there all day, even though you're not drinking, like I'll be able to get. I'm feeling like I can actually like. Do you know what I mean?
Go and
like,
chat to a female. Do you reckon you got it? Look at his face. He absolutely stopped. Then he went, "Oh, I'm not
I'm
sure."
allowed 2 Jaeger bombs.
Yeah. Can I have a tequila just so I remember it?
Just a 2.
Just 2, please, mate. I think
I think
everyone's used a bit of Dutch courage in their life. I've been on dates before where I generally have had a swig of whiskey before I went, just to be like,
We just have a pre-match pint before every day.
for every day. Literally, I'm an alcoholic. I just.
You going for a coffee? Yep, I'll be at the pub first.
Yeah, let me have a pint just so I relax first with this one. But it's it's interesting of how much like you can really look into drinking and go. So many people, it's there because of it. Generally, does help them with their confidence and how they feel.
I'm feeling more content in myself, and I'm feeling more confident in general by not drinking. Like, because I'm feeling like I'm actually getting over the false confidence and coming to the other side where I'm like, can actually just chat to. I already could chat to anyone, but it's more like certain scenarios where it is maybe.
Yeah, like in a bar and stuff.
Yeah, that would make most people nervous. Whereas when it's like the whole exposure therapy thing where they just like social anxiety, like what Paul does, who's the therapist from the podcast back home. The producer who's a therapist. When people have social anxiety, he was just telling me stories about some people that he's went and just made them walk up in Buchanan Street in Glasgow and just say weird stuff. Not weird stuff, but just try and make a conversation. And then he'd be like, right, go say this to this person.
Yeah.
And just so that they realise that nothing bad can happen. And if you keep going out and keep having those 2 Jaeger bombs before you go on the dance floor, before you talk to people, you never get overdoing it. You never ever get away from it. So I think I can only do it because you and Brad aren't drinking, and it means that I've got other people that are in the same boat.
100%. I think as well, if you get used to doing it, you're just setting up a trend. You're setting up a habit. You're facilitating it. Every time that I go out, I need to do this. Every time that I do this, you've got to break. I think you have to break habits like that as much as possible, and as long as you're aware of them. I know it's hard. Fucking hell, mate. Any form of anxiety is hard. Like, it is fucking tough. The biggest thing that I've known that sort of set me up for these social occasions, I think this is where rugby massively helped me growing up. Even though it's fucking hard on your body and I'm still paying for the knocks, like, I don't think I've ever been so nervous and anxious for rugby. I'd have about 5-6 shits before every game. Like, genuinely, because from waking up in the morning to the game at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're just so nervous.
I used to do the same with football, but pissing.
Yeah. So I was the same, pissing and shitting. Like, mate, I honestly.
Wait, let's stop saying those words.
Okay. All right. Sorry. But genuinely, I don't think I've like that really taught me, because I was making myself nervous every week and having to push through it just to do the thing that I enjoyed. Like, I think it really did help me with sort of dealing with some of the things that happened. Now I don't do it. I've definitely noticed the difference. Like, I've definitely not as probably as, because I just don't think you embrace. I think you're probably harder to deal with the anxiety because you're not used to it as much. Yeah. But especially with rugby, I know blokes that have been playing up until they're 40 and they'd be sick before every game. Who does that to them? 30 times in the season, just being constantly sick. And I think with rugby more than anything, I'm sure everyone gets, before any sporting event, you're super nervous. You're constantly thinking, as I said, thinking about the future. How's it going to play out? Am I going to make the best dunk ever? Am I, if you're talking about basketball, am I going to make the best pass? Am I going to make the best tackle? You're constantly thinking about that. And I think with rugby as well, you're putting yourself in harm's way.
Yeah.
Like, you're getting hurt. Like, you're going to get bruised.
Yeah, I think that's the difference.
I think that plays into it even more. And that's where I think, like, I'm really thankful for rugby in that regard, because I think it helped me deal with emotions better. Definitely in my younger parts of life, my younger years.
So we've kind of not spoke about what I was going to speak about. I'm actually not going to go down the route you think I am. So that little smile is fine. So don't be nervous. You were mad.
I'm not nervous.
You were mad nervous. Just how? So you're. I'm sure you'll probably be pretty open at one point about the anxiety you've had the last like 6 months or whatever.
Yeah.
How has that been over the last 2? How long have we been here? You know better than me.
No, we've been here for 2 weeks. Better, man.
Yeah,
A lot better. The first week was tough. Still have my moments, but it's a lot better. Like, it really is a lot better. Just as I said, when you're meeting new people and doing probably not working a bit as much, getting out a lot, seeing new things, being on a fucking moped. Fuck it out. You need to be president of one of them fuckers, or otherwise you're dying.
Tell you what, by the way, you keep talking about this. I'm purely an autopilot. I'm not concentrating one bit on those things.
That scares me because this guy doesn't use his mirrors. Anyhow, yeah, it definitely has helped massively for sure. Like, yeah.
What we actually like on the lead up, like the 2 weeks before we came here.
What was it like? Definitely had a bit of a moment a week before. I spoke to you about it, didn't I? Just worried, like genuinely heavily worried and stuff. And I'm not a worrying character really. So it's still a bit out of my nature really, sort of with it. So
see how when you went for therapy, we spoke about it a little bit, but not that much. I want to go for therapy.
Yeah.
I want to go for therapy to speak about my mum. That's all I want to speak about, because I do think I have quite a lot of
baggage with that.
Yeah, because that's why I asked you earlier, did anything come up when you read that Lost Connections book? So see, when I read it, there was stuff about, so I wasn't actually depressed or anxious, I just was a bit lonely from living in London, just because of the lifestyle.
Well, you did say to me,
99% of the time on my own.
Yeah, it's horrendous, mate. Sure.
But I the way everything was set up, I had to make money, I had to. So I was just lonely. I knew that was what was fucking me. So I wasn't actually depressed or anxious, because I knew the only problem I had was the fact I was in London on my own. So I knew that's what I had to change. So I wasn't actually in a horrendous place. I was just a bit like fucking stressed about having to go.
But like, you probably felt a lot like I felt in Portugal. Like with Portugal,
But you weren't like
I was in my place on my own, but I wasn't anxious. I wasn't depressed.
I
just knew. Yeah, I was just like, this is pretty. This is pretty wank.
But there was one point in that book where it was talking about like how childhood trauma affects you and stuff, and it was talking about, I can't remember, it was maybe like talking about certain things that maybe happened, and then I just thought of this one memory from my childhood that I hadn't thought about before since it happened, and I broke down crying next to the London Eye, and I'd never thought about anything from I knew my childhood wasn't perfect, but I've never thought it was horrendous. I don't think I was an unhappy child, but I definitely didn't get on with my mum. Like, I really didn't get on with her at all.
You spoke to me about it plenty of times.
And there was this one moment that made me start crying, because I was like, that's probably can make me pinpoint why I am the way I am with certain things. Like, genuinely, that one thing. And I was about 12, and my mum had a boyfriend. This was the first time she ever let me meet like another man. I don't know if she had other boyfriends at the time. Right. It was the first person she let me meet, and I think they'd been on a date, and they came back and they were drunk, and he said something really fucking horrible to me, and he swore at me, and it was like he was drunk, and it was the first time I met him, and he just said something nasty to me, and he swore at me. And I remember being 12, and even at 12, I was like, I just hated him instantly.
Of course.
So, like, anytime he was there, I would not speak to him or whatever. I'd probably go to my dad's or whatever. And then she broke up with him, and I came back from football one time. I couldn't get in the front door. And our house was like, it was weird. It was like a garage that covered the rest of it from the front. So you could only see the door. There was no other windows, because the garage covered it.
Yeah.
But around the back, the full house was open. So if I couldn't get in the house, and my mum wasn't in, sometimes I could get in the back door. So went around the car park, climbed in the back door, and that guy was sitting on the couch. So I'd rapped the door, like knocked on the door for like 10 minutes, didn't get in, went around the back.
Yeah.
And he was sitting on the couch, and then my mum came in, and she shut the curtains on me and wouldn't let me in the house. And I had to go stay at my auntie's. And I didn't, at 12, I hated staying anywhere else other than like where I lived.
Yeah, that's funny. Wow.
And
It's not even that, like, you just think about the rejection.
Yeah,
the fear, like, if something like that, you would just probably, you would build a fear of rejection because you've just been rejected by the person who's meant to love you the most. Like,
I stayed in my auntie's house, and I actually remember, like, it's so weird how you block it out or how you never remember. I just read that book and I hadn't remembered that ever.
Open up the locker, mate.
Yeah, I literally started crying. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, outside London Eye, like, people were looking at me. I was like, but it wasn't like hysterics. It was like my eyes started watering. I was like,
just that emotion's coming out.
I remember standing there. I was like, did that actually happen? Like, do you know what I mean? Not me crying. I was like,
yeah.
am I actually remembering that? Because I've never thought about that again. I remember stayed at my auntie's and they had like a bunk bed, and I remember I had like nightmares all night. And then this, like, I would go like 2 or 3 weeks without even acknowledging my mum's existence at some points. Like, there was maybe like 2 or 3 moments like that, and I would just go to school and come back and like go up and like I'd play football with my mate. I would just pretend that. I think that's why I'm so like, see what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to do what you want to do or whatever, or like I'm so like
fixated on what you want to do.
I'm fixated on what I want to do, but also like I've got my own business. I think as well, like you said, you're used to doing things on your own, mate. Yeah.
Like, you haven't played with others at home.
What?
You haven't played with others at home. Do you get what I mean?
I had plenty of mates.
But you had sports teams and stuff. But I think you're probably right. Like, you just used to fending for yourself, and you kind of like that. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's,
it's not even that I kind of like it though. I'm used to it, because I'd have probably then went for the next 2 or 3 weeks of my life, making my, like 12 or 13. Yeah. Well, like, not making my own dinner because I couldn't cook fuck all, but like just not even. I remember she would try to speak to me and I would just not talk to her. She would I remember her like going out, do you want me to make you dinner? And I just wouldn't even acknowledge she was there. But at the same time, if she ever heard that, she would feel horrific about it. But at the same time, I remember being 12 or 13 and I would still probably feel the same. I was like, she deserved it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, fuck off. I was like, nah. And I think I'm still like that. Like, my auntie, told you when I moved to London, didn't I, about my auntie she was meant to be my guarantor and she pulled out at the last second for absolutely no reason. Right. I nearly lost like $2,000.
Yeah, so maybe that's where you kind of used to some people disappointing you, so you kind of just like, well, fuck you anyway.
Never spoke to her again. I haven't seen her myself. And if I've told my other auntie lives like 2 doors down from us. We usually go to hers for like Christmas or New Year or whatever. And like, they're all well aware that if she's there and I'm there, like, I will not speak to her, and I'll tell her that I don't like her. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think a lot of the stuff that's probably happened from that was the first time I read books, because childhood trauma is such a I don't want to say buzzword, but it's such a hot topic.
I know people that that have had really bad childhood trauma, and you wonder why. Like, they have bad anxiety now and then. Like, I even had a bit of a traumatic experience myself, and I don't want to delve into that, but it's definitely like a few years later from it was the 100% open up my brain to being more worried. Like, once you have that fear and knowing that something so fucked up can happen.
Yeah.
As for you, it was you being neglected to a certain level. Like, you remember that. Your brain remembers that, right?
Mad, isn't it though? Mad how you just it's something.
Yeah, and it can trigger, and like, I can completely understand that. Like, from what I sort of think, I wonder now. Like, as I said, I've had like over the last few months, I have had really bad disordered anxiety, which has made me feel, super low at points, and probably have every bad symptom under the sun, mate. But like, the thing is, it's I've got to a point where I sort of just, pardon me, man. It's what I've experienced. It's what it is. I just move on. You can't have. I don't think you can. You wouldn't be the person you are without that. Yeah. You wouldn't be the joke, Gavin, I've just been taking the piss out for the last hour.
Wonder where the fuck that came from.
if you weren't like that and experienced that, and same with me, I probably wouldn't be the same person if I didn't have that, that side of me or what happens. And I think you just got to learn to let it go. And I now, do you know what? I was thinking I was in the surf yesterday. Bring it back to surfing. and genuinely, like,
how can you bring childhood trauma back to you on a board?
Because I think, like, you have waves.
Fuck off! Fuck off!
No, but like, do you know what I mean? You don't think about this. You don't think about this all the time, though, do you? Do you? Do you think about this all the time? It doesn't have waves, though. You'll hear what I'm referring to. Get back to, Gavin. Do you have? What I'm saying is, you don't think about, and you don't. The thing that makes you cry doesn't make you cry all the time, does it, Gav?
What?
You know what your experience didn't make you cry all the time.
No,
right?
was that one? Maybe another time. I thought about it again. Maybe twice.
Maybe twice. There you go. But what I'm saying is, like, for me, you know, if you do have like the downward moments, or you do feel a bit shit, or you do, you know, because you've had bad patches of anxiety yourself, and I think in surfing, there's a saying, like, when you paddle out, right, it's really fucking difficult. Like, and sometimes there's a massive fucking set of waves, and do you know what? You're not getting out for shit. You feel like just going back to the shore and going, it's not my day today. And sometimes that's what you have to do. But there's other times where you just weather the storm and you don't make an effort. You just focus on keeping afloat, and then you wait for your time, and then you fucking sprint and you go hard at it. And you know, for me, that's very much when if I feel like anxious about anything, or if any issues come up, that's how I deal with them now.
I think that was when I started crying in London Eye. I think that's when
Why are we laughing about it? It's fine, bro.
I think that's when I was like, right, I need to go, because the thing is as well, and even since I've moved home, I'm so content, and I've had a year where I literally had a lump here and had the anxiety for the full year where I couldn't breathe properly. I think because I'd been 4 years since I've only ever had, like, when something stressed me out maybe for a day, and then it's went away.
I think that's also why you're very on top of it.
Yeah,
like,
because
you know what happens when you push too far.
Well, that's probably why
and that's why you're like, Aaron,
yeah,
I'm not fucking doing that. I'm not getting stressed out because I don't want to be feeling fucking shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And to be fair, I appreciate you accepting, like, pushing your boundaries, as I said.
Yeah, I think I've got certain things in place because I know what stresses me out. But I think therapy wise, that made me realise I need to go for it, because even though I'm in the best place, generally happy with my life.
Go for it before you need it, mate.
Yeah, and it's a prevention measure, and I also think if I never do that, I'll continually keep getting in relationships I'm not that arsed about, because I've probably got trust issues a wee bit from those sort of experiences.
Yeah, 100%.
And then I need to fix that before I delve into a relationship.
That is a bomb to finish, but I'd totally agree. And I think as we talked about literally about lost connections, and what I was saying is, like, just more people need to have conversations about.
I think Johan Harry should get me a discount code for that book, by the way.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good book to read.
No,
but
I've got so many people.
He did a TED talk on it, to be fair. So if you do, I'd probably just
read the book.
TED talk.
Get the audiobook. His voice is actually very soothing. And it will make you cry.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, do you not audiobook it?
No, I've actually got it and read it. I'm not really much of when I read, I like to see the words. I like to get myself into it.
80% books, but I heard
do like an audiobook.
I just heard he was really good on like the voice. His voice is really soothing. So
yeah. No,
that's why I said audiobook.
I understand it, but yeah, no, I'd probably agree with you on that.
I am about to have the fucking maddest podcast of my life, probably. Most bizarre situation. Like, I don't know.
Listen to this, right? Do you want me to tell the story?
You're going to tell a story about the boat as well.
Yeah, go on. Do you know what?
Wrap it up. Fine. You've got 5 minutes, right? Because I need to sit here and be
okay. 5 minutes. Let's ramp this up. So, on the way out here, right, I was on my flight from Emirates, Dubai to Bali, and I've picked up my bag and I've looked over and I've gone, I fucking know you somewhere. I've seen you before, right? He's looked at me. He's probably gone, don't have a shit haircut, mate.
Don't have a fucking clue of that.
Yeah, who the fuck is that guy? And anyhow, on the way, we went out our first night to watch the England game, England versus, who was it? Iran.
Iran.
And we went to the Bench, which is a nice bar here in Bali, in Canggu, and we saw this guy and we were like, he's in an England shirt, and we stood next to him, and I was like, I've seen you before.
He said, "Oh, that's why." He said, "All right" to me. I was like, "All right."
Who are you?
Hey, I didn't realize he was on his own.
Yeah, they realised. And turns out it was our now mate Brad. And
you knew he was from Love
and
Island.
I knew he was off Love Island. I'm very much a face picker. You know what I mean? I very much can look at someone and I'd be like, I fucking know you. So anyway, my man Brad off Love Island. He's a good lad, to be fair, actually. I love it when you meet someone off Love Island and you're so surprised they're not a twat. Yeah, you do, don't you? You're like, oh, he's such a nice human. And you're like, I really did expect him to be really bad. But, he's, mate, such a sound guy.
I reckon if it was
spent so much time with him,
and you didn't know him from Love Island, I could have probably spoke to him for an hour and had no idea he was on Love Island, because I don't watch Love Island.
100%. I think it was me who said, you were on Love Island, weren't you? And we had a conversation, and he was like, by the way, a girl's coming here that I've met, and so on. We were like, oh, okay, right, watching the England game, and then she walks in.
Platonic mate, by the way, because this is what I'm scared of: him getting fucked.
A platonic mate,
like the girl.
Yeah. No, there was no like romantic. Well, he was generally a friend, wasn't it?
I come back from the bathroom and she's there, and I come down and you're like, she's from The Apprentice. I'm like, of course she is.
Literally, we're sitting there going,
and this guy recognises everyone that's been on reality TV, by the way. I don't know Scooby-Doo who they are.
I've just got a name. I told you, I've got a name for faces, but I also, because of the way she was in that show and the press that she got, I was remembering, and I literally was there like, how is it that the first night you go out in Bali, you have a Love Islander and the person who's on the last series of The Apprentice?
We'll end it on this bombshell, right? Because I don't want to say too much about her. I don't want to name her anything, but we'll just end it on the boat.
Yeah.
Right. She goes to me, she heard my accent, she goes, where are you from? It's like, Glasgow. And she goes, I've got a boat in Glasgow. And I was like, where the fuck have you got a boat? In the Clyde. Like, nobody has a boat in Glasgow. And then she said some place, had never heard of it. And then I was like, nah, I don't know. And then she was like, do you know Port Avadi? And I was like, I know that it's not in Glasgow and it's fucking miles away. She basically has a boat fucking like 200 miles away. It's the equivalent of you living in Coventry and going, here, I've got a boat in Coventry. I mean, actually, it's in the Lake District.
It's just not how I create conversation. It's like going, how are you? Hi, I'm Aaron. Do you know I have a Ferrari? Fuck off.
Yeah, that's where I've noticed people's heads are fried.
It's not for me, babe.
He's coming in like 5 minutes.
Is he?
So we'll leave it here. Don't Be a Dick videos, YouTube, Aaron Martin Fit.
That's the one.
We're both moving to long form content. I'm on the podcast. He's on the YouTube
We
videos.
actually did a vlog about us going to Ubud in the most
slagging off influencers.
In the most Instagrammable place, trying to avoid Bali belly. So
get him on YouTube.
Yeah, go check that out.
I usually don't promo the other person, so enjoy.
Oh, he's so nice to me, isn't he?
Catch you in a bit.